Okay guys, in this video I'm going to teach you guys just to get stuff straight. I am by no means a professional and or a teacher. This is just my take on what I experienced in the whole welding business. Guys, the ultimate beginner's guide to welding, DIY. I'm just gonna roll over the stuff and you just can go through it and let you know what goes for what. To start off with, 0.9, or they register as 1 millimeter mild steel on stainless, 2.5 and the 6 millimeter. In another video I'll do pipes and stuff like that. And the basics that you need to start welding in your backyard: a helmet, 200 amp welder, bottle of argon, get a regulator. I will suggest in the future get a twin regulator. Welding rod, 1.6 mil welding rod. Oh, for this idea, so by the way, you can go to Builder's Warehouse or any of those places, Ben Bell, get yourself some 50 millimeter PVC tubing with a stop like this, an end cap. You can get these in 1 meter pieces, which work brilliantly. Okay, so what I also failed to mention is your tungsten rods. This is mostly for your mild steels and your stainless steels, and then you get one with a white band on, and this is for your aluminiums. Just to sharpen it isn't very difficult. So this is fine for our application. Just a note, the trick is to get this point that you just ground down also as smooth as possible. This is quite an extremely coarse wheel. What happens is you got little I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but there's a lot of small grains running lengthwise. Now that tends to have your welding arc jump off to the side. So what you would like to do is you can grind it down and then just get really fine, even just Scotch-Brite, just to make it a bit more finer. You want all your heat to be concentrated at the point. I failed to mention the cup size I'm gonna run it, as you can see, is a number 10. Okay, so the first weld I think I'm gonna take on is a standard T-joint. We will be doing a fillet weld in the corners because this is hot rolled steel. It's milled to size while still hot, and then it gets this oxidation layer on it. This oxidation layer needs to come off. Unlike your stainless steels that doesn't have an oxidation layer on, you need to grind this off because that has impurities in it, and that makes the weld look very shit and also not be structurally sound. So we'll do that quickly and then we'll get to welding. Okay, so I mentioned we're gonna do a T-joint, but scrap that idea because I welded both on the ends. So we're gonna start off with your standard butt joint. This is, for you who don't know, this is your butt joint, it's your T-joint, and then you have your lap joint. But we're gonna start with your butt joint. Butt. Okay, so I'm gonna be using a 1.6 millimeter filler rod with my 1.6 millimeter tungsten rod. A good practice is to also wipe everything clean. Everything has a small little oil residue on it, which also just tends to make the weld not come out as great. So that's also good practice to do it. And then let's try. I'm running about 110 amps with 20 CFH on it. Well, that's not good. So what happened now is I got these brown spots. Now I need to figure out why. What have I connected wrong where? So the reason why I think this happened is because my cup size might be too big. This is number 10 obviously, and I'm gonna go down to an 8 and see. As you can see, this one has been used a lot. I just tried to use this one to see if I can get a better camera angle. So I'm gonna go down to a number 8. I'm gonna keep my gas at the same and then see what happens. So I should have definitely worn gloves for that. Okay, so the weld didn't come out too bad. Okay, yeah, at the end, obviously, like I mentioned, I should have worn gloves because I started to burn. The puddle placement isn't too bad either. I ran quite much higher than I expected. I ran at 160 amps and about 20 CFH. What that really means, I do not know, but that's why we're here to learn. I'll go do some more research and I'll come let you know. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to run 25 liters per minute of argon gas at 200 amps. I'm going to stick to my 1.6 millimeter filler rod and my 1.6 millimeter tungsten rod, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so what happened here, if you can see, it's quite thin, and then it goes all thicker. I really punched it here at the beginning, so I really went for it. I went a bit too fast, I think. I will be cutting this in half and doing an etch on it just to see, for interest's sake, what's going on underneath there. Okay, so on this side was 160 amps. Penetration was okay, not great. If I put in a chamfer and or put a gap between the butt joint, penetration would have been deeper. On that side is 200 amps, and don't worry about in the middle, that is just where the two metals are joining. Okay, so the next one we're gonna weld is a T-joint. Because this is a pretty deep corner, I will do a root pass at 200 amps. Staying at 25 LPM, and then maybe I will do a 150 amps, still staying at 100 or 25 LPM, and see how that goes. I came way too close with the tungsten. I started puddling onto the tungsten. When I resharpen it, and then we take it from there again. So that's not too bad. Wow, from beginner's point of view, I feel that's not too bad for a fillet weld. I'm not gonna touch this really because even the magnet is hot. Penetration on the edge, penetration was not that good because I started tapering down. I didn't want to you know, burn a hole out. But that's fine. Maybe I'll do a cap pass, a weld over this, a big weave weld, and we'll see how that goes. Or I'll leave this one as is, and I'll do the same on the other side, and just do a weave on that, on a cap on that side. Or it doesn't matter. Okay, so you can see the difference between this one is much more gray than this one. Has got more of a silver tint to it, which is actually better. I've heard YouTube videos, the gray is not what you're looking for. That is apparently just too hot. Don't feel discouraged by these welds. I know they look all professional and shit, but these are now perfect conditions. And this is a small 120 by 60 mil coupon. Like I said, the conditions are perfect, and it makes the welds look very good and very well, and everything is really easy. Things can differ. Your place where weld, I got a nice welding table to weld on. Your area could change, the material welding, everything welding. So there's a lot of dependables. You just have to get in and start welding and practicing. That's all it's to it. So a trick that I'm going to mention is, see if you can place the part or whatever it is you are welding in such a fashion. If you're going to do a fillet weld, for the main reason that you want the weld to fall into that corner. You want to get into it. You don't, because for example, say now your part is like this, you're gonna have to weld more up because your puddle is gonna run down to form that perfect fillet. Well, perfect, but a good fillet. So if it is possible, if you can, place your part like this and weld it. There is some porosity there. It could be of me not cleaning it properly, or maybe I'm just a cock welder. So you see what I mean by it falls nice into the corner of the thing you're welding, and it's not rising up to this side or the other side. I can do maybe I think I'm gonna, maybe I'll stick to 200 amps, but I'll go with a bit of a thicker welding rod. I think I got a filler rod. I think I got a 3.2 millimeter mild steel filler rod. Then we see how it goes from there. I'm just gonna let this cool off for a bit, and then we gun it again. Okay, so let's cap this one. I'm gonna move from the 1.6 to the 3.2 millimeter filler rod. And I'm just gonna do a sort of a weave. I'm not going to do stringers now, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so it's nothing to be desired yet. Still got a few impurities there. I haven't removed all the oil from the plate or my filler rod. It's absolutely chaotic, but weird starts over there. But just looking at that, you can see, okay, you can see I've leaned a bit too far to that side. It fell nicely into the groove. So the last one is just a lap joint, and let's get to it. I might have fed it a bit too little. You see, it started taking in yeah, from the edge. From the edge it wasn't filling properly. So what this tells me then is I should have done a root pass with the capping pass then afterwards. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is I have not prepped the steel. The carbon layer is still on top, and we're going to weld and see how that goes out, so you can see what happens if you do not weld, if you do not prep your steel properly. Okay, so that went actually better than I expected. There is still impurities, but it didn't turn out too bad. I don't know, that's weird. Okay, so in the previous one I showed you the edge that was gouged away because I did not put enough filler wire. This time I put even more in and it didn't turn out too bad. So I hope this video helped you out a bit. Sorry for it taking so long. My plate is quite full at the moment. I'll be doing stainless steel welding DIY soon, so yeah, stay tuned. Cheers guys.